wickets. So, you know, as you train a leg spin bowler, you want him to be spinning the ball hard because you want him to get wickets, because they can change the game so quickly by getting 2-3 quick wickets, and the game swings back in your favour. So you're okay with them getting hit for a few boundaries as long as they're getting your wickets. So, you know, again, with a leg spinner, it's about being really strong in your hips, you know, because you've got to really pivot, you know, on your front leg and have your right hip push through the crease as well. So it's really important, you know, that they're quite strong in that area. And actually, I used to bowl leg spin, and my first coach was a man called Stan Gilchrist, who is Adam Gilchrist's father, the former great wicket keeper for Australia. And one thing that he told me was that I had to be really strong in my fingers. So he would say to get a squash ball or a soft ball and squeeze the ball to make my fingers really strong, and also my forearms to be really strong. Because if you look at Shane Warne, he's got really big forearms and really strong fingers, so that allowed him to really rip the leg spinner. So yeah, I'd encourage, you know, again, squeezing that ball. And you know, Adam Gilchrist's dad said it's the right thing to do. I believe it. Drills for pace bowling, Santosh. Again, I'm more of a batting coach than a bowling coach, but I think the best thing and the easiest thing with any form of cricket training, whether it's batting, spin bowling, fast bowling, fielding, is repetition. So, you know, if you can be really accurate with the different balls that you bowl, your outswinger, your in-swinger, your slower ball, your bouncer, you're going to be successful. So a good thing that I like to do with seam bowlers is put down some marker cones, one on a good length, one on a Yorker length, and one on a good short back of a length to the batter. Left-handed batters, right-handed batters, and just be able to consistently hit those marker cones, hit your Yorker, hit your good length, top of off stump, back of a length ball in at the batsman. And that's really easy. You don't need anyone else to do that. You can just put those marker cones down in the net and just keep bowling them and bowling them. And if you don't have a marker cone, you can put down a handkerchief or some leaves or a cloth or anything like that to use as a target. And it's just repetition. Hit the target, hit the target, hit the target. So, you know, as I said, in anything in cricket's a high volume game. So if you want to be a good batsman, you've got to hit lots of balls. If you want to be a good bowler, you've got to bowl lots of balls. If you want to be a good wicket keeper, you've got to catch. You've got to catch lots of balls. So there's no real secret to it. Obviously, there's a few other things, but obviously I can't be there to demonstrate it. But just being able to hit those targets and bowl accurately, so that in a game, in a match, when you're under pressure, you know that you've done all the work, that you can run in and bowl a Yorker when you're under pressure, because you've done it so many times in the nets by hitting your marker cone or your handkerchief on a Yorker length, or a shoe. You can put a shoe down and use a shoe and hit a shoe. So hopefully that helps. Gives you a few ideas there. Sorry, I missed a couple. Big tournaments are stressful. Yeah, there's stressful for players, staff, coaches, management. It's stressful. I think the being able to make sure that you prepare as best you can, that you're prepared before you go into that tournament or into that match. You know, not just your practice preparation, but you know, making sure you've eaten the right things, you've had enough sleep the night before, and you can get yourself into your pre-match or pre-tournament routine. And again, it's all about making sure that you stay calm and you stay level. So whether you're having a lot of success or whether you're not playing so well, or your team's not playing so well, is making sure that you stay level, you stay calm, you keep your thoughts in the moment where you are. You're not thinking too far ahead, and you're not thinking too far of what happened yesterday or last week or the day before. So it's really important to stay level, stay calm, and make sure that you're communicating well with your teammates, with your coaches, and with your management team. Make sure that you're communicating. You don't tense and stress too much around that. Dolly, drills for hard hitting or power hitting, as we call it. A really good one that I do with people is if you can get into a net, and you're. Let's see if I can demonstrate. Let's see if I can demonstrate here. Okay. So what we can do is, if you're in a net, I'll do it left-handed. So if I'm in the net and the net's around me with a roof over the top of me, what you can do is you can have somebody here and you're standing there ready to hit the ball and play your shot, and all they need to do is just drop the ball on the ground, or they can lob it up slightly, and what you're doing then is just transferring your weight onto your front foot and swinging right through the line of the ball. So the idea there is that you make sure your head and your legs are really still so that you've got a stable base, and then you can hit through the line of the ball, and what you're doing there is you're building up how strong you can be in your core and in your legs. So to be able to power hit and hit the ball long, you've got to make sure that your legs are still. Because if your legs are still, that keeps your head still and keeps your eyes still. Because if your eyes start moving, it's hard to hit the ball in the middle of the bat. So that's one drill that we do. Another one is obviously out on a field. If you can get out on a field with a ball machine or someone wanging them at you with a sidearm, and being able to stand there, figure out where you're looking to hit the ball, what target areas you are, and making sure, again, you've got that stable base with your legs and you're hitting the ball. Some other things that some people do, some people hit tennis balls because tennis balls don't have as much, resistance. Okay, so you're hitting a ball that's softer. Again, that's building up your strength in your core to be able to do that. But essentially the main thing is that you're practicing a nice fluent swing of the bat, and that you got your head and your eyes down and still, because if you lift your head and try and hit the ball, you're not going to hit it in the middle very often. And the idea is we want to hit the ball in the middle of the bat. So it's really important to make sure you keep your head down, you keep your center of gravity low, because once you come up, the rest of your body's going to come up. So making sure you're really low in your positioning, and just making sure you're really still. If you have a look at Chris Lynn, that plays for Brisbane Heat and plays in the IPL and PSL, like when he hits the ball long, when he hits those big sixes into the crowd, he's really still, and he watches the ball. He watches the ball really hard. He watches the ball all the way onto his bat. So there's no real secret to that. It's just being able to watch the ball really hard. Tips for opening batters. I guess it depends what format of cricket you're playing, whether it's T20 cricket or 50 over cricket or red ball cricket, 4-day cricket or test match cricket. But, I guess being an opening batsman myself, I really enjoyed that challenge of facing the new ball, because there's only two people in the team that have the opportunity to face all the balls in the innings, and that's the two. So I always really enjoyed that you get the actual chance to bat longer than everyone else in your team, no matter what. In terms of tips of being an opening batter, it depends on the format of cricket, and it depends on what you're good at. Every batsman's different. Every batsman has different strengths and different weaknesses. So again, it's just being able to understand your game, what you're good at, and being really good at what you're good at. So being really good at the shots that you play, and making sure you have a really tight defence. So it doesn't matter whether you're opening the batting in 50 over cricket or T20 cricket or test match cricket, you've got to have a really good defence, because you're going to face the new ball, and the new ball is going to swing. So you've got to make sure you have a really good defence, because you're going to face probably more better balls than most of the other guys. So yeah, I think that's really important. Having that solid defence and being really good at the shots that you're good at. Wicket keeping, yeah. Again, it's not really my forte, Joshy, but wicket keeping's all about repetition. Again, it's about catching lots of balls and making sure that your hands are really soft. The wicket keepers that I've played with and spoken to and coached, they all talk about having really soft hands. So what we mean by soft hands is when the ball comes, they can basically catch the ball in their gloves and you can't even hear it sometimes because their hands are so soft and they watch the ball right into their gloves. So, being able to do that is really important. Sometimes with young wicket keepers that I have, I actually throw eggs, just eggs from the supermarket to them, and that makes them, catch it with really soft hands. Otherwise, the egg will explode on their hands. So that may be something that you might want to do with a youngster, is to teach them to really value and cradle that egg, so that they do that with the ball. But also too, wicket keeping is a lot with your footwork. So you've got to be really strong in your legs, and you've got to have really fast feet. So very similar to a goalkeeper in football. They got really fast feet to change direction to be able to, save the ball. Wicket keepers are the same. If you're really quick and fast on your feet, and have really soft hands and can watch the ball, you're going to go pretty well. For T20 format, was that more? I think was that around opening the batting. I think Asmita. Yeah, I think it's particularly in the first 6 overs in T20 cricket. It's making sure that you have a really clear mind on what you're trying to do and what you want to achieve in that first 6 overs, and being able to execute your skills and your shots in that period. So again, it's knowing what you're good at. What boundary option you have either side of the wicket, and also straight down the ground. But it's also being able to give yourself a little bit of time as well to get into the game. A lot of the guys that I work with here in Australia and in Sydney is, we like to give each other sort of 4 or 5 balls to get a little bit of a look at, to see what the pitch is like, if the ball's swinging, if it's spinning, if they're opening with a spin bowler. So it's being able to give yourself a little bit of time to get into your innings, and again, it's just being able to execute your own individual game plan. But the most important thing is that you have a really positive mindset. You're really positive with what you're doing. And when I talk about being positive, that doesn't mean trying to slog the ball out of the park. You can be really positive by playing a good defensive shot, or a really good shot along the ground through cover. So opening the batting in T20 cricket isn't all just about hitting the ball for 6 or in the crowd. It's being able to play good cricket shots to good balls and still being able to score runs from them. So, but yeah, I think it's really clear mindset, but be really positive with what you're trying to do, and have a high intent on what you're trying to do. So hopefully that helps. Yoshi, you might know, when's Nepal's next international games, or scheduled international games for the national team? Do they play? Are they scheduled to play again in the next couple of months? Do you know? I haven't spoken to Binod or any of the guys there for a little while, so I'm not quite sure. How you prepare yourself for big matches. It's really an individual thing, Asmita. Like whenever I work with the Australian team or any of the first class teams in New South Wales or wherever, every person has a different preparation. So it's about knowing yourself what you need to do to get ready to play. So What I mean by that is some guys the day before a game, guys like Moses Enriques that plays for New South Wales, he'll want to hit lots and lots of balls the day before a game. Whereas then you have someone like, Daniel Hughes that opens the batting for New South Wales. He won't want to hit very many balls. So, mentally it's about just making sure that you feel that you're ready and you've done everything right to get yourself prepared for the game. So again, that's, going back through your training, making sure that you've trained during the week and done what you want to do, getting enough sleep, and also, communicating with your teammates and your coaches so that you know what your coach and your captain want you to do in that situation in the game, whether you're going to bowl in the middle overs or whether you're going to bat in the middle order or open the batting or what it may be, is having a clear understanding of what they want you to do so that you can train to how you're going to get ready to play during that week. Or before that tournament. So, and also too, it's also about having that clear mind and keeping your thoughts in that moment, not thinking too far ahead and not thinking too far behind. Trigger movement for keepers. Again, as I said, I'm not necessarily a wicket keeping coach, but I think what the wicket keepers that I've played with and worked with, the key point is that you don't come up until the ball's bounced. So often, a lot of the times when a keeper drops a catch or misses a stumping or whatever, they're actually coming up from their crouch position or their power position is what we call it, before the ball's pitched and bounced on the wicket. So the lower you can stay and the longer you can stay lower, it gives you a better chance to execute, being able to see the ball come into your gloves, because it's far easier to come up from a low position than come up and then try and go back down, because by then the ball's gone through you. And that's generally what happens when there's a missed opportunity for a wicket keeper. But it's all about, again, it's pretty similar to batting, is that when you're in your power position that you're still, your head is really still, because again, if your head's still, your eyes are going to be still, and that gives you the best chance to be able to catch the ball in the middle of your gloves, which is what you want to do. So it's about being really still and making sure you stay as low as you can for as long as you can. Women's team in Malaysia next international tournament. Okay, all right. That'll be a good challenge for the Nepal women's team. But seems to be the women's team's really improving. So that's a good thing for that's a really positive thing for the Nepal women's cricket community. Well, again, as I said, Sunil, I'm not a wicket-keeping coach. It's a very specific job being a wicket-keeping coach, because in any cricket there's only one wicket-keeper. So it's a very specific role and a specific coach to be a wicket-keeping coach. So, you have 4 or 5 bowlers in your team, you have 6 batsmen, but you only have one wicket keeper. All wicket keepers would all, still have their own style, just like a batsman, just like a bowler. So, not everybody needs to be in that power position or sit position as you describe it, like Johnny Bairstow. Again, as long as your head is in front of your gloves and you're still, that's the main thing. From a batting perspective, which is more my forte, not everyone moves around like Steve Smith, do they? Steve Smith's one of a kind. So if we all started trying to bat like Steve Smith, or if I started coaching you to bat like Steve Smith, it's probably not going to work. So that's the unique thing about cricket, is that no two players are the same. And I think that's exciting. It's great when you coach, because no two players, whether they're batsmen, bowlers, spin bowlers, wicket keepers, are the same. So it's about finding that method for you where that you're in that power position, and that your head's just in front of your gloves, and that you're really still, to give yourself the best chance of catching the ball in the middle of your gloves. Joshi, the googly bowling. Not quite sure what you mean by that. Do you mean in terms of how you bowl a googly? Is that your question? No problem, Sunil. No problem. Hopefully it helps. Yeah, I think he's pretty busy at the moment, Steve. There's all the guys are keeping fit and doing a lot of strength and conditioning stuff at the moment. So I actually haven't crossed paths or been around Steve since the last New South Wales game that he played for up here in Brisbane, and that was probably about 6 months ago. So. Yeah, I know Steve, but yeah, I'm not sure I'll be able to get him on at the moment. But next time I see him, I'll ask him. Only if you have $1 million, yeah. Oh well, as I said, next time I'm around him, Joshy, and I'm not sure when that will be. I'll ask him for you to see if he can do something and maybe video or something. I think that's a funny word. I guess temperament. It's a word that's mainly used in cricket in Asia, in Nepal and India and Pakistan. It's not something that's really used in cricketing terms here. But I think an opening batsman's got to be like everybody else. Again, it depends what kind of role you want that opening batsman to play. Like one of our teams. The teams that I coach in Sydney, a guy by the name of Ben Abbott opens the batting. That's Sean Abbott's brother that's played a little bit for Australia, and he plays for the Sydney Sixers, and he just comes out and whacks them. Doesn't matter whether it's a red ball long form game or a 50 over game or a 20 over game. So he just comes out and he just whacks the ball a mile. So as a coach, I can't really say to him, I want you to slow down, take your time, because that would then take away from his natural instincts and his natural ability to whack the ball, which is what he's good at. But in saying that, then he also needs to understand the game situation as well. That he can't just go out there and try and whack every second ball out of the park. Some days when the bowlers are bowling well, or the wicket's spinning a little bit, or what it might be. So I think your temperament is it's not just necessarily opening batsman. Again, it's just being able to know and understand the game situation that you're in. Whether you're chasing a big score or a low score, or you know, if you've lost a couple of wickets, if, you know, I'm opening the batting with you and, you know, we lose a couple of wickets early, we're certainly not going to come out and start, you know, reverse ramping the ball over the keeper or reverse sweeping the opening bowler, are we? So it's just being able to understand what the game situation is and, you know, still believing in your skills and what you're good at, but also understanding that it's kind of like driving a car. So, you know, you have first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear. It's knowing when to go into top gear or fourth gear or fifth gear, but also knowing when you need to go back down to first gear. And that's the same for whether you open the batting, bat number 3, bat number 4, bat number 5, bat number 6. It's the same. So yeah, there's no real one size fits all. Again, as I was talking about before, that's the great thing about cricket, is that everybody's different. Everyone has different strengths and weaknesses, and that's what makes up a team. Tips for new talented players. One thing that I really work on is with the young guys that I coach, particularly in a one-on-one situation, is getting them to understand the game, and almost, even if they're not a captain in their team, think like a captain, so that, you know, when they come on to bowl or when they bat, they're reading the game like a captain and they're always thinking about it. You know, if you can do that at a young age and start learning and thinking and asking questions of older players and coaches, you know, even in your own teams, you might have a senior player, and you might say, well, when you're in this situation, how did you bowl? Or how would you bat? Or how would you play this particular bowler? And again, that's the good thing about cricket, is everybody has a lot of information and a lot of knowledge around you. Nobody knows everything about cricket. You know, it's being able to be around people whose opinions you value, and being able to take on that information. So, you know, particularly young players, if they're any good, they'll get a lot of different coaches tell them what to do. So another good piece of advice is that, you know, they should listen to every coach or person that talks to them, and be respectful. But, you know, you need to be able to take on the things that are relevant to you. So, you know, there's certainly guys that I've coached where, you know, what I do might not work for them. But then there's other guys where, you know, what I do and my philosophies do work for them. So that doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It just means that everybody's different. So, you know, understanding the game and think like a captain all of the time, even if you're not a captain, and ask lots of questions as a young guy. Ask lots of questions. That would be a dream to bat with me, Sunhill. I don't know about that. I haven't played for a while now. I don't think I'd get many runs. So if we did bat together, you'd have to get most of the runs, I'm afraid. Batting basics. Laxman, I always believe that batting is built around processes and being able to solve problems. Because when you're batting, you're going to come up, you're going to get a lot of problems thrown at you. So you need to be able to solve problems quickly. So, you know, being a good problem solver, having a really good defence is important. But I'm also a big believer in being strong at hitting the ball back from where it comes from. So, you know, a lot of people talk about hitting the ball straight or playing in the V. That's exactly what I talk about, is hitting the ball back from where it comes from. Because if you're really good at that, hitting the ball through the offside or the leg side, that will all come. But if you're good at hitting the ball back that way, that's going to hold you in good stead. So if you can have a really good defence, be really strong hitting the ball back past the bowler, other things will happen from there. Setting the field in 20 over cricket, yeah, it is. It can be critical because you know, the T20 game can change so quickly. Look, it really depends on the bowler and what the bowler is going to bowl. So what we talk about is you know, the bowler having a lot of responsibility in that area, and it's more going to bowl. We want to put the fielders where you want the batter to hit the ball. So if that means you're going to bowl wide Yorkers, we want to make sure that we have a third man, a deep point, a deep mid-off. You know, a man at mid-on and a man at mid-wicket. Or maybe even an extra one over on the boundary on the offside. So it's difficult. It's difficult. Like even using a third man's tended to go out of the modern day game because not that many balls go down through third man. And I'm sure if you watch, you know, when the IPL gets on, you'll probably notice that third man for seam bowlers stays up inside the circle a lot more now because guys are looking to hit the ball back down in front of the wicket rather than hitting or gliding the ball through third man. So I don't think there's so much any preferred. There's any preferred method apart from maybe not having that third man to the seam bowler in the first 6 overs, more having like a deep point or a deep cover as well as your fine leg. But it's more about the bowler at the top of his mark knowing, okay, this is what I'm going to bowl. I'm going to bowl a wide Yorker. I'm going to bowl a Yorker at the stumps. So if I'm going to bowl a Yorker at the stumps, I need mid-on and mid-off back. I need a deep cover and I need a deep mid-wicket, and I'm going to execute that skill. If I'm going to bowl bouncer, I'm going to have a deep backward square leg, a deep fine leg, a deep point, and a deep third man. If I'm going to bowl slower balls into the wicket, well, I'm going to need a deep mid-wicket. So it's about not having a clear understanding of what you're going to bowl and then set the field accordingly, because ultimately what you're doing when you're playing 20 over cricket, even 50 over cricket, white ball cricket, is you're just trying to control the run rate. So you want the batsman to hit the ball where your fielders are, ultimately. It sounds really simple, but that's it. You want him to hit the ball where most of your fielders are, because that's going to give you the best chance of A, stopping them hitting a boundary or hitting runs, but also frustrating them and getting them out if they're hitting the ball to your fielders all the time. So it's really about, you know, knowing what you're going to bowl, whether you're bowling spin or seam up, doesn't matter, and where you want the batter to hit the ball. You want to get him to hit the ball through the covers because you're going to bowl full and at off stump or just outside off stump, so you want to have most of your fielders there. So yeah, hopefully that helps. But yeah, it evolves really quickly, and a lot of it's done on the run, to be honest, depending on how you're going to bowl, who you're bowling at, and yeah, what your bowler feels comfortable bowling. So yeah, some guys are really comfortable, you know, being able to bowl their Yorker at the stumps. They're really comfortable being able to do that and execute that skill. So you can give them a little bit more leeway with fielders behind them. You know, other guys feel more confident landing their slower ball, or a spinner. You know, he feels comfortable bowling more down into the wicket, so he's less chance of getting hit back over his head. Yeah, I've been asked that question before about the national team being able to bat in longer formats. Yeah, like it's hard for me to say because I'm not there. I'm not part of that coaching setup. Obviously, I've been coached some of the guys in the EPL, but that's only a couple of weeks and goes by quite quickly. But obviously, speaking to them, look, I think it's exposure to being able to bat in longer form games. Having more longer form games in a domestic structure is what's needed, because guys need to learn how to bat for longer. There's no magic dust that all of a sudden they can transform from 20 over cricket to 50 over cricket if they're not playing a lot of 50 over cricket domestically, to be able to have that experience to go back. And I think with the national team, I think with the batsmen and the struggles that they've had, or the challenges that they've had over the recent periods of time, and there's probably a lot of reasons for that I'm not. I don't have that information, but I think it's a bit of a confidence thing. The guys that I've worked with at the Rhinos, I think it really is a confidence thing. When I was there for the EPL, they were just so low on confidence. It was amazing. I was astounded, because they're really good players, really talented guys. I think sometimes they just need a little bit of love and a little bit of direction, as well as that experience of being able to play a bit more long form cricket. But I think it's just more about just giving them some direction and showing a bit of belief in them. because they need that, and just, yeah, as I said, just more exposure to playing long form cricket, which obviously we need in that domestic structure in Nepal. Batting tips in the power play. Well, it depends. Again, it depends on the player. What you're good, strong at, but being able to make playing good cricket shots. So, guys that are really successful, batting in power plays. You look at guys like like Aaron Finch. Aaron Finch comes out and plays proper cricket shots. He's a really strong driver through the covers and through mid off. He's a really good. He's a really good cutter. So when he's hitting boundaries and getting Australia off to a flyer in 50 over cricket, he's playing proper normal cricket shots. He's not ramping the ball over the keeper, and he's not running down the wicket and slogging them over mid wicket. He's standing still. He's keeping his head still and his eyes still, and he's playing proper cricket shots through mid off. Nice cut shot, working the ball off his legs. So in that mindset too. To be able to play those proper cricket shots, not fancy reverse sweeps and things like that. It's more about just being able to get in position to play proper shots. How to build that confidence? Yeah, good question. Good question, Sunil. You got some good ones. I presume you mean with the national players. It comes back to an experience thing. They need to play more 50 over cricket and learn how to play it, because at the moment I don't think they know how to play it, and they haven't got that direction on how to play it. And when you don't have that experience to fall back on when you're under pressure, and you're in a game and you've lost 2 or 3 quick wickets, if you haven't got that experience to go back on in that form of cricket, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard for the best players. So, you look at guys, that play Test cricket. If they haven't played a lot of Test match cricket, they get under pressure, and they tend to lose that confidence pretty quick. But look, I think it's just giving them some direction and giving them some specific roles on what you want them to do. And getting them to train and prepare for those roles. And as I said, sometimes it's as simple as just giving them a bit of love as well, giving them a little bit of belief that they can do it. They are good enough to do it. And as I said, I can only speak for the couple of guys at the Rhinos that were in my team, and very talented players, but they were so low on confidence and belief in themselves, and sometimes that can be from the pressure of the media, or the fans, or expectation, or what it could be. All of those things. I don't know. I haven't been the coach in Nepal to know. So, but yeah, I think it's hard. It's hard to put your finger on confidence, because it's even in football, Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United, he doesn't have a quick fix to be able to give the players confidence. It's sometimes it's got to come from within the player as well. Laxman, I think the guys that are talented, the guys that are quite often you see the guys that are less talented but are tougher and more resilient mentally. They're the ones that actually have more success, because the talented guys, when everything's going their way, they can peel off a brilliant 50 or brilliant 100 and look $1 million, when things are going their way. But when things aren't going their way, that's when they find it hard. So it's the guys that are more resilient that tend to get to the top of the tree. I look at someone who I've spent some time around, Justin Langer. He certainly wasn't the most talented batsman, but he was just determined and resilient and practiced and trained and stretched himself and challenged himself. And that's what got him to play 100 Test matches for Australia in a very dominant era in Australian cricket. And if he wasn't as resilient and as tough as what he was, and you see it in his coaching now, how tough and resilient he is, he wouldn't have got there. So resilience is a really, and the character of the person is really important there. I haven't done a lot of work with Smith and Warner. When I've been with New South Wales, they haven't been there most of the time because they've been playing for Australia. But it's coming back when you miss out, when you're not scoring any runs. It's. Sometimes it's just about just getting away from cricket, just letting go and going and doing something else, and just clearing your mind, because you're going to fail. That's part of cricket. You're going to fail. You're going to fail more times than you have success, unless you're Sachin Tendulkar or Brian Lara or Ricky Ponting. You're going to fail way more times than you have success. So again, that what we spoke about before with that resilience is really important. So being tough to be able to come back, when you failed or missed out, understand why you failed, why you played a bad shot or bowled a bad ball or dropped a catch, learn from it, and then go away and practice it, so that next time it's less likely that you're going to make that same mistake. My views on Sandeep. Obviously Sandeep plays over here with the Melbourne Stars, and I know a few guys that are in that Melbourne Stars team, and they speak highly of him. That he's obviously a very talented cricketer, but he trains hard, practices hard. He's a good team man, which is really important, particularly in Australia. It's a very big emphasis on being a good team person. From what I know, he's a good kid. He wants to keep getting better. Wants to keep learning. My views on Nepali cricket. It's obviously very passionate support base in Nepal, which is fantastic. Large numbers of people that play cricket, which is fantastic. I think the toughest thing there is all the things that are happening off the field. Obviously, with the Cricket Association and the need to get a proper domestic structure in place and a proper pathway, a proper youth pathway, so that every